I'm not surprised.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, it is 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. It's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. And this means a workshop today. Let's call this one to order. It's called, properly noticed. Got a quorum and all that cool stuff. Motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So, second.
A movement and a second. Let's move on to. Oh, yeah, how many want to adopt it? Yes.
Oh, adopt.
You want to adopt it?
Yep.
Say yay.
Yeah. Aye.
All right. Oh, Charles is here.
Charles is here.
Hi, Charles.
Hi.
Our first and only action item.
I'll make the motion to approve the joinder. Say that right. There you are. And consent for charter supplemental for phase 2B of Island Village.
Second. Anybody want to talk about it?
It's really pro forma because
Yeah.
celebration covenant, they make you take it even if you don't want to.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Now we're going to discuss future consent items. The first one is the motion to mill and overlay lakeside parking lots for $72,000.
So we sealed this right after COVID, if I remember correctly. But this is actually milling it, correct?
Yeah, so it's up in your reserves. It is needed as the cracks are causing issues with water, especially around the drain itself. It is separated from the main drain. This project also covers the issue that we have between the basketball court and the parking lot, as well as bumper or stoppers for every single parking spot to address the current situation that we have about weekly complaints of people parking too far back across the sidewalk. This is funded in your reserves this year. It was in the reserve expenditure plan that Ray created. And we received multiple quotes and we are recommending an LRC on coating.
Charles has seen that.
Charles.
We talked a little bit about the Jones room / the future of Lakeside. Is there anything, so is this just one of those things that has to get done regardless of what the future holds for that area? Or is this something it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah,
Never
go
mind.
ahead, Charles.
Nope, that's all.
Okay.
One quick question.
Mhm.
How long, is the parking lot gonna be closed for? Is
We're
there?
expecting a Monday to Friday closure with probably a 3-day actual closure, so then some buffer time around it.
Okay.
And everyone okay with adding that to the consent agenda? All right, next up, the renewal of Larson Prime. Discussions?
Along with an agreement with the board,
So 1 year.
1 year.
Uh,
Is that what
we
is
did an RFP 3 years ago.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, and entered into a 3-year prime agreement with them. This is not a price change at all, so their price is staying the same. It's a 3-year agreement. And nothing about this agreement prevents you from going to a separate council to ask third-party advice or for anything else.
So why, right now the agreement's expired as it reads. So why weren't we alerted of this 3 months in advance? So we can talk about whether we wanted to extend or not.
I mean, we can wait and keep
I would-
going. They'll keep the rate in place.
Yeah, I would like to, if we could do month to month, or I would say to do a 3-month agreement and then send out an RFP, to get a good understanding of the different experience levels out in the market available.
Any other thoughts?
Concur with her, Katie on that.
Charles, got any thoughts?
Yeah, so to Lauren's point, so my first year on the board, that was something I advocated for because I don't think we had put the services out to RFP in quite some time. We went through that process. We interviewed 3 firms and Larson Slayton had the best overall proposal. And I think we got an hourly rate cut through that process. to that end, I know we did a 3-year agreement. I do agree that maybe it's a good idea to check what the market is right now. I think it's a good practice for something like this every couple of years. So I would agree with Katie, since we're coming up at the end of the rate guarantee.
So why don't we change that consent item to a 3-month? And then we'll have 3 months to work on an RFP. Does that work?
If they'll take a private agreement,
If they'll take it from me.
I think what I would recommend is propose they keep the discounted hourly rate because you've already used everything else in your prime.
Oh, okay, we just go month to month on the
Just
discounted
ask for
hourly.
the discounted hourly rate for an additional 3 months.
Okay, that seems good. Is everybody okay with that?
How much energy does it take to put an RFP together, put this out?
I mean, I would essentially dust off the previous RFP and reissue it.
But we're still gonna have a
Yes,
many
that's
month process before we get.
Right, I just want tens of thousands of dollars before we're gonna be where we are.
Yeah.
Is everybody good with that, Charles?
Yeah, and just, I don't know if downtown asked the question, legal services are bid all the time, like public sector organizations bid out legal services. So that was, the thought process was that nobody's going to bid on it, but we had, I think we even maybe got 4. I don't remember,
You
but I mean, it's like,
we pushed it out to 10. You had 5 responses, 4 full responses, and you interviewed the top 3.
yeah, so there's a market out there for sure. And, I mean, certainly something, and I think we didn't have the RFP section of the website, I think back in 23. So I would expect maybe we'll even have better responses. So that's all.
Then we're good with that. That's gonna go to consent for 3 months. Now on to C, landscape planter pot replacements from the reserve fund. Where are we? Is this all over the place?
It's actually coincidentally all in Artisan Park, as a lot of those spots had overgrown perennials or plants in them, and the work we're doing those, some of those pots have broken because of the root damage to them, or just broken out of tenure and time. So this is just replacement of 2 large round dishes and 2 barrel style plants.
And it's a reserve item.
It's a reserve funded item.
Anybody have any questions? All right, okay with that on consent, we're good. Let's, Parkview Townhome landscape improvements. This is again, something out of the service area reserves. Anybody have any questions about what is involved here and why we shouldn't consent this one? Okay, we're good with that one. Motion.
Yeah,
to approve
committee's
the
good with that.
irrigation partial- Yeah, Charles? Yeah, he's good, okay.
Oh, sorry. No, I was saying the committee's good with that. Yeah, good.
And then, Blue Sage irrigation partial rebuild, the committee's good with that, Charles?
The committee has not provided much comment. Terry, on this, it was just it was a rebuild of irrigation that needed to take, or that was necessary. They have irrigation rebuild in their reserves and they have a struggling operating, so it was a recommendation to use the reserves for that.
Any issues with it? We're good. Spring Lake Townhomes irrigation replacement.
This is in line, with the committee's project on what they're doing with their landscaping and transitioning drip lines.
Okay, everybody good with that? Motion to approve installation of new variable frequency drive at Lakeside Pool.
I had a question on that. The first bid was $3,500. The second bill he did was 19,000. So help me with that, please.
We were basically wanting to do some market check on skis, as we're using skis for most of our repairs. So we went with to our secondary vendor that typically does our electrical work and plumbing work, which is Westbrook. They don't do a lot of tests technically with pools. So this was a quote they provided that we kind of started questioning as well, and they said this is their best bid.
So it's probably something they really didn't want to do.
it's a VFD though, it's not,
It's not a,
I mean, they exist outside of the pool market too, so.
sounds like a good price. Everybody okay with it? All right, 3-month trial agreement with Beach Tennis. What is this little deal?
So recommendation from the rec committee is to change it
Where they're gonna play beach tennis
at
At the
the beach
beach?
volleyball courts.
on North Village? Everybody good with that? Cool. That's cool. There we go. Savannah Square investment plan. We got a bunch of investment plans. So we want to talk about all these at once.
They're all,
I through P.
Yeah, I through P, they're all the same, right? We're just moving it to CDs.
That's correct. So this was a project that we wanted to initiate, that we've just been, it's been one of our final things. We've been improving the service areas that we've dug into. Alex and I dug into their reserve expenditures for the next few years, their operating cash and what's going out to the plan of the rest of this year. Came up with amounts that we felt were comfortable. Then we gave that to Ray, who reviewed that, and made some adjustments. All of these were on their quarterly meetings as well for discussion. And then emails have been sent out to each of the committees to provide additional commentary. There's been no commentary against any of these.
Are these ladder CDs?
Most of them are
Single maturity.
Single. I think the one is looking at doing a ladder, but I think that right now you're just seeing the first one in. And that would be first.
But the yields should be higher than we're getting at savings.
Yes.
Charles said his hand up.
Hello, Charles.
Okay, so yeah, this is all good. Don McDonald, I may need your help at some point because the Academy Road thing keeps coming up about
It's not
these.
gonna work, trust me, but yes.
No, I'm
please.
with, yeah, I may
Pick
need
my
you.
brain on this one because that is a really bad idea.
So
Yeah,
on that, we recommended to that committee that we're not entertaining that further until there's a vote within the committee to support.
Yeah, and plus, I think we as a board have a fiduciary responsibility to keep all investments in
Correct.
Full faith and credit or federally insured investment vehicles, whether or not we might make more elsewhere.
thank you.
Because at the end of the
Agreed.
day, it falls on this board, the responsibility.
Correct. So,
And I have-
so, yes, these are advisory groups effectively, and they're not, to Katie's point, they don't have a fiduciary obligation. We do. So to Don's point, to Katie's point, if these things lose their principal, or that's on us. So
And no
Done.
matter what salespeople say, they can and do lose principal.
correct. So I may just look to you, Don, to help add
Okay.
some muscle. Yep.
I
Thank you.
back you up.
Okay. Thanks.
Are we good with, pretty much, I through?
I have one question on the interest from the CDs. Is that being reinvested back into their reserves or their operating?
The initial plan would be to keep them rolling. And so then that would just be continuing inside those investments, and then it would typically fall back into whichever of the accounts that it is tied to. So some of these are reserved and some of these are operating.
Oh, okay, so that's for both.
They'll stay in their respective accounts.
Yeah, so this proposal has investments in operating and reserves as applicable to their cash that's that can be just like that.
Any other questions, concerns? Perfect for the agenda for next meeting. All of that. Now, let's go to discussion items. The landscape contract
So.
coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah, your passive parks contract is coming up again for a potential 1-year extension. Your active parks contract is in place until April of 2027. In line with that, Exquisite has brought a proposal forward and wanted to discuss the potential proposal with the board. We're looking today for the board to kind of give us some direction on how you want us to proceed, similar with the Larson Slayton agreement. Your options are RFP the passive park contract now. We would ask you to delay that so we could RFP them both out together. The contracts would be better aligned together. You could extend it 1 year to align with the timing of the other one, RFP both, or there's these two other options that Exquisite is putting forward.
Now, my question is, I'm looking at this, we're up 531 on the passives, but we're up 430.27, so that's just under a year. Is that right?
So you're up.
So we would extend the passive so that the two terms come up and so that we could RFP it in year 2.
Yes, if you are looking to RFP.
Charles?
So I'm in favor of syncing these up on a similar effective date, passive and active, putting everything out together for scale, and see if there are any potential savings with putting both out there. I think in general, we've learned some things. And look, I think Exquisite has done a better job the last few months. I think especially in light of the deep freeze. I think some of the things have recovered nicely, and I think Brian has been a bit more responsive. But I think we're seeing some things that and I appreciate them putting a proactive proposal out there, but I think we may want to look at the RFP and maybe make some adjustments based on what we've seen the last couple of years. I think the QA person is important, quality assurance, turnaround time, potentially even like some account manager relationship. I think there are some things that maybe there's a good opportunity to put out there in market. So just my 2 cents. I'm in favor of putting the whole thing out.
So Exquisite is here to address the board if he would.
Yeah, and we'll get to Brian in a sec. Now, one of the things what is the current market for these services? Are these, what we're paying now, is that below market?
I don't know if Jacob can speak to that because we just kind of did a soft
Did you
market.
get some looking?
We did a soft market check when it came to the landscaping at Town Hall through the DeAngelis bid process.
Yeah, so DeAngelis Diamond for Town Hall, they managed the RFP process for landscape. They were coming in, based on bottom dollar first. They started with a contractor mainly for installation. And they started with them and then backed out of that deal as promises didn't meet quality. And so they as well moved to Brian because it was one of the best deals for the quality as well. And then outside of that, it's just been under a year that we RFP for one of our service areas. And all of the service areas, this is a common item that gets brought up, is they also are in kind of terms where they can do extensions, and most of them are leaning into their extensions as the RFP showing much higher contract options rolling in.
Anybody have any questions before we talk to Brian?
I think that we did this a few years ago when we looked at this, and my concern is that if we want more service, we're gonna have to pay for it, no matter what we do. And I think it's the balance of where we're at right now of finding a vendor that we're happy with the services on, but then at the same point in time is one that we can just flat out afford. I mean, I think that if we want to put this out to bid and you get, land management or Davey or whoever, come in here and look at this, sure, they'll be there, but I can't imagine that we're going to be paying less for what it is. And I guess my concern is that we, once again, no matter what we do, if we continue with this or if we choose to bid it out, whatever we do, we just need to be really realistic on what's actually in the contract for what we do. Because I think sometimes we expect things and that even I'm surprised at. Say, oh, well, that's not in the contract actually that we're supposed to do. When we ask for certain things. And so I think that we just need to be realistic with what we're asking for.
Anybody else?
I have a question. I apologize. Was this in the packet?
No, it was not.
Okay. I feel kind of blindsided because I like to read this and.
Oh, there's no rush. This is not a decision. This is a discussion tonight.
Just
preliminary discussion.
normally I like to see this ahead of time. It helps me.
Yeah.
When I look.
And we are seeing it ahead because we still got the contract's not until May. So this is just sort of kind of getting a basic understanding of where we're gonna go down the road.
I like to have a basic of the start with this.
Yeah, and this is kind of our base to start with.
Okay.
So when I look at, this is my first thought, when you look at the two contracts, the passive and the active, that's just under $1 million. And so Brian's basically proposing that for the next year, we're at that. Is that right, Brian?
Same price.
Same price for the next year on the two. And then a 3.5% increase in year two.
Yes.
Right? And then no increase in year three, and then another 3.5.
And then no increase for the 50.
Yeah. What I find very compelling about this, it's very similar to what Eric said, is that, and based on what Jacob said, is that odds are if it goes to a competitive RFP, we're gonna end up paying not less, maybe more. What if you were to go to RFP right now, what's this look like?
So just sod, we'll just pick out one thing, sod
right now, you guys on our
Schedule values.
schedule of values, on our schedule of values, you guys are $1.35 a square foot. If any one of you contracted me separately to go to your house and install sod, it would be $1.85 a square
I was looking to get some sun.
foot. 50 cents isn't a big number, but when you do 10,000 square feet,
It's a big number.
and we have two projects right now, Spring Park Playground and Norfolk Park, as well as townhouse, not you guys, but those two projects alone are that 10,000 square foot of sod range. So that's the market value. I have lots of friends in the industry and we talk all the time. And one of my buddies is doing $2.35 a square foot for sod install. And his main area is Orlando. Just based on sod alone, when we did the original parks contract, we had to go out and measure all the sod area, all the plant beds, and we gave a price for that. If my price went up by 5 cents, you're gonna be well over $1 million on the RFP that you have right now.
My thinking is that we have two options that we should look at, not three. I don't see the option for an RFP now as being palatable. Your contract's at the end of May. So I think there are two options left to us as a board from my perspective, and that is extending the passive park contract, doing that sooner than later, and then discussing whether you guys want to vote to put it to an RFP next year or take Brian's proposal and extend out to 5. How does that sit with
Well,
you?
also remember that in all of your contracts, you have an out clause.
Well, that's, yeah.
So, I mean, I think his out clause right now is 7 or 10 days. It's
7 to 10 days?
ridiculously short. I mean.
Brian would fire.
Brian, cover your ears. There's a part of me that I look at this and I say, we're gonna be really stupid if we just don't sign 5 right now.
I think the
There's
same
part of
thing.
me that goes, even if, well, let's say that everything goes to hell in a month and everything looks bad, then we terminate the agreement. And we're kind of sitting in the same spot that we are now. And so we're essentially kind of trying to lock in pricing. I mean, look, there were, in the past couple of years, there were pieces of feedback that I know that we provided as a board too exquisite, and I feel that you listened on when we did things. I mean, the number of times that we gloss over things in the packet, that it's like, this is replaced under warranty or replaced at no cost or replaced at what, I mean, we just kind of ignore that, but you look at it and you're going, there's thousands of dollars just in plate material, alone the labor in some of these things. So I think that we've seen it, and to me, if there's any deficiencies that we're seeing in landscaping that we would want to improve, I don't think that it's a deficiency on the vendor doing the work. I think it's a deficiency just in what we're paying for as part of the agreement.
Or even like us communicating to Brian, because I feel like when we did communicate, like the quality control person, you went out and you hired someone on your staff, like on your payroll, and I don't see the increase in the prices for that too. So like, I appreciate, you taking on that initiative and kind of like helping meet our needs too, as a partner, almost more than a vendor. So I think this is generous.
If we were putting this to a vote tonight, I would move to do exactly what Eric said. Just take it. It's a great price. We can fire him if it doesn't work out.
Take what, the 1 year or the 5 year?
The 5 years,
5 years.
the combined.
Because to me, there's no difference between the 1 year and the 5 year, or
No.
the 2 year and the 5 year, other than we're paying more in the 2 year. Because we can still terminate the agreement.
You know, it's trying to.
Yeah, if we want.
Charles,
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So the recommendation, or what I'm hearing, at least in terms of aligning, is extending the passive another 3 months and then accepting the 5. I'm having trouble following along where folks are
I
aligning
think
toward.
what Eric and I are saying is if this was an action item, that the two of us would vote to do just to combine the whole thing and go years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the fact that we have an out clause.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. I guess my trouble is, I mean, the vendor is there in the room, candidly, and I think we don't know what the market looks like until we put it out. Like, it's kind of just, I think it makes sense to do a market check, at least see what's out there and validate some of that. Make sure that, because I mean, the market defines the market. Brian doesn't define the market.
Right. And that's why I asked Jacob, because they had gone, because of the DeAngelis going out to look for installers at 851 and finding the prices were outrageous. And service areas too. So how about you other three gentlemen? Bill, Martha?
Here's an awkward moment with Brian in the room. Who does the landscaping for Infomark? Because it's impeccable.
United.
Have they ever put it on, we got S on the dead, and I'm sure there could be more. So you look around what they do a really great job.
So they do the athletic fields for us.
They also do like the entry when you come in at the Wills Drive, right? That, and the entrance like in some of the flower beds and stuff, I mean, I drive by, they look really nice.
Well,
I struggle with this to be one.
again, I would say, if this was to go on the next agenda as an action item, I would not be.
Yeah, I think, look, I think here's the other thing. We can then still, if we wanted to sign the agreement, but then still do an RFP or market check, or we just go out and we say, look, who would even be interested in doing this? You know, go ask, you know, Lane, Clark. And,
The other reason I'm hesitant to go out to a full RFP is everybody puts on their best face for an RFP.
Yeah.
And then we've had nightmares. I mean, think of all the landscape vendors we have fired over the past decade.
Sure. Okay.
Who've charged a fortune and been horrible. And I went through the same thing when I was on the CDD board. We hired and fired multiple landscape companies, one after another. This is an industry that is rife with fly-by-night operators, even in some of the bigger names, or the bigger names are just charging an arm and a leg because they're a big name, like Davey.
Yeah.
That's why with the May thing coming up, I would like to see it on I'd like to see it on the April agenda personally. That's me. That is one man's opinion.
I thought you do about CCFC, it's just for.
It's the passive and active parts. It's not CCA.
Just parks.
I like the idea because Brian's always there, always helping,
There's a lot to be said for relationships too, as far as I'm concerned.
he's a great guy. And has a professional crew with him, so. I like to have as it is.
I think here's where I struggle with this. If we had this conversation when I first got on the board, there were things that we were struggling with from a landscaping perspective. And some of that was areas that we were struggling with because they hadn't been maintained properly prior. We're kind of in decent shape right now. I mean,
I gotta tell you, anecdotally, I was at a restaurant a few weeks ago. And I did not know this person, but apparently they knew me. And they walked up and said, this town has never looked better. And I know when they say this town, they mean our parks.
it's just the mulch.
They look great. It's great mulch.
It's great.
It's great. It's best mulch. You know, it's not that rubbery stuff. It's real mulch. I think we can put it on an agenda with how many of us? One of us, right?
Yeah, it's president's prerogative.
Yeah, I think we should put it on the agenda. I'll put it on the agenda then. My prerogative will put it on the agenda, the 5-year plan.
The only concern that I have is like happened before. They have the contract and sell the company for a different.
Oh, there's a, no,
They have
We have a
there's,
clause.
there's a clause in there, but yeah.
Yeah. Plus he gets it a week out, not 90 days. Oh, I don't like, you're gone.
Well, and I think that,
I don't like your shoes.
but remember, that's a two-way street.
Right, they can go, right, but I
Brian
mean,
can fire us in 7 days too. So I think we gotta remember that.
any other discussion on this item?
You want to hear?
No, I already talked to him.
And
Is there anything I need to hear from you?
should we be concerned about anything? So,
No, we, like, if there was one selling point from us, we've been in celebration for 17 years. We're not going anywhere. Celebration has spent a lot of money employing us for the last 3 to 7 years, 8 years in Count Spring Lake. With that, we bought a lot of equipment. And if this is to continue, we would take the equipment money that we no longer need because we have it all and just pour it back into our employees, right? Not giving them huge raises or anything like that. although
But perfect.
it would be nice. Education.
Oh,
Right.
because
So more training, more education, and with officially accredited institutions, University of Florida, FNGLA, the agricultural extension offices. Yeah, 4 of our guys just went and did the general industries best management practice. A week and a half ago, we're just waiting on the results from Tallahassee, but we do expect that all 4 of them pass that course. We can supply Real Manage and the CROA board with those certifications as they come through, so you know that we're staying on track there. We'd love to work more with professional residents in the area and more opportunities like Deer Woods and the Memorial Garden, resident involvement. Like Celia McFadden, she's not here, right? But she always says this is community, right? So we feel that we've become part of the community. We'd like to continue to be part of the community and serve the community in that fashion. Lauren was a hero, 2-3 years ago when the big hurricane came through and all the sandbags were there directing all of Wasilla County, not just Celebration. We don't like to take credit for stuff. We were there as well. You know, I had a couple of guys on my shoulders.
Yeah.
So we try to help out anytime we can there. The women's club or garden club or any of these places.
and you've done a great job cleaning up after the freeze.
We tried to be a leader in that, and I think it helped and paid off and got a lot of information to a lot of people. We tried to be a leader with hurricanes and other things like that, because Central Florida, you know, anybody with a pickup truck and a lawnmower is a horticulture. So we try to get correct and accurate.
It's like financial advisors.
But that's really all. I mean, you guys covered like everything. So that's really all I could add is with a 5-year term, we won't be planning for 2026, 2027. We'll be planning to 2030. And with that and the relationship we have with Real Manage, being able to like Jacob coming up with the parks calendar last year, a year out, we knew what parks we were targeting. I don't know that that's ever been done under CCMC or anything. So with leadership like that, it helps us stay organized and prepare and plan. We can. Somebody here, I'm sure lives in Artisan. There are parks and Artisan that look fantastic, and there are parks and Artisan that could use a little bit of love, right?
Yeah,
But we've already identified those parks, and we already have them in queue. You know,
So
and it's probably
on the list.
2027.
but I think here's the other thing, our definition of the park looking like hell now is very different than where it was 2 years ago. I mean, because, yeah, there's maybe some deficiencies, but I can tell you, no one's complaining. I mean, it's not like you have a bunch of people, it's when you go out and you look and you see things like it's a challenge. I don't want to throw a wrench into this, but I will. How does this
What
work
more mulch?
with Island Village?
So as we've done with the previous parks, we've added them as their change order basically for the contract.
Okay.
So as we've added the 2 parks in 2A, they were a change order to the passive park contract. So as we would add new parks, we would just do a change order and they'd be subject to the same term of the contract.
Okay, so we'd be fine.
So can you be here in 2 weeks? In case there are questions, when
It's the 22nd, correct?
Yes.
yeah, in case there are questions, because we'll have it on the agenda.
I can be here. I can. Would you guys? I can bring. This is Sven. He actually owns Exquisite. He's more of a silent owner. And he's here.
I have my way, by the way, we're not selling. We're not getting the contract
to go out to bid to sell the coach fleet. Got my way. Yeah, and Rachel, if any of you have ever met Rachel, this is my wife, she runs all the back of the house office. She's the bridge.
We knew it wasn't you.
I'm the beauty, she's.
All right, so you'll be here.
I can be here.
We just basically need you here for questions.
Charles says a question.
Charles,
Would it be possible, and I guess I would ask the board to also, if you all don't want to do this, fine. I would be curious to go along with this. We obviously have the outlay of the operational annual expense, but I would like to know concurrently what has been, since we've had Exquisite in place, what has been our reserve outlay for the passive and active parks? Could we possibly get that to accompany this, or is that too much? I'm
can you guys
curious.
do that in 2 weeks?
We can. I'm just gonna throw out there that the first year of the active parks is gonna be a bit of a red herring number
That's
because
fine.
Prince and Sons did a terrible disservice to
Yes.
those parks. And those are the big ticket items like Long Meadow and Hippodrome and here at Spring
So do that
Park.
with an asterisk.
Yeah, with an
Yeah.
asterisk.
And that's fine. We can asterisk that. Why I'm saying that is I hear everything about low cost, great. That makes sense. I just want to validate that we're not, when we start aggregating this, are we potentially, is our outlay maybe not as low as we think just in the reserves because we're constantly having to replace things. And that may not be true. So I could be on board with this as long as that all lines up.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, it was our plan for park improvements in 2026. So last year, when we did the park improvement calendar, I introduced it as we have just under $250,000 a year in reserves to do these park improvements. And at that point, it was, we need $3 million to be able to meet what the needs are, and we just need to take time. And with what we deemed on, the essential items that we really want to act on, we're at right around half of our reserve budget for the year. We did that, knowing that there's always a couple little things that throw in there as well, but we're on track to be under the reserve allocation this year, which is a
big deal because we were upside down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Totally
we're
fair.
gonna move this to the action item agenda and we're gonna move on to battery replacement controversy, I understand. I understand it was a controversy when I was gone.
Controversy, there's spirited discussion.
A three split. Holy cow.
Hey, we gotta jive it up every once in a while.
Yeah. All right, what's the deal on the net battery replacement since I missed that meeting? Thank you all.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
And they want to tell me?
so when we brought to the board in December 2025, a request to accelerate the replacement of 9 failing debts. In 2026, you were funded in the reserve study to replace 3, 27, 3, and 28, 3. We wanted to accelerate them all because we were struggling with the NES. During the initial discussions, the board basically asked us to meet with the finance committee to kind of discuss a plan moving forward. We met with finance in early January. There was a lot of back and forth during that meeting, but we came out of that meeting with kind of a replace 6 now and get an analysis of the existing NEVs, use what we could from 6 of them to get 3 of them running, and then sell 6. We moved that forward to the board in January, but then we paused because of the fund balance projection request that was brought back to the board in February with the 6 NEV replacements on it. And the board approved the 6 vehicles in February. We were still at that time completing a comprehensive evaluation of all the NEVs. And at the March board meeting, we submitted the request for to approve the battery replacements of the 3 remaining NEVs that we needed to get operational. And then after the 3-3 vote split, there was an ask for kind of a, here's what your NEV fleet is now. And your fleet as a whole is now kind of layout. So that's what.
So you got pretty pictures of the nose?
Yes.
Well, what page 2 is what we wanted.
Mhm.
And I think that this is perfect because to me, this shows it pretty clearly because anything that says decommissioned or repairs requested right now, I put a line for, I just pretend we don't have it, because we don't. And then so I match it up with, okay, community, there's Parks and Rec, there's 9 staff that we want to be covering all these things, doing route turns, checking IDs, the park and pool monitor type stuff. And we have 2 vehicles for 9 people to share with that. For community standards, who primarily is out in the community all the time, doing inspections, there's 6 of them. And right now there's 2 vehicles that they have. Those are both the tracks units, which tracks with what we had talked about before. And then facilities, there's 13 when we look at that, and there's 7 or so vehicles here that they can use. So I think, to me, when I look at this, I get scared with community standards and Parks and Rec. But maybe that's not the right place to be scared.
So, yeah, community standards is really where the struggle is, because those are the 3 NEVs that were intended to be repaired under this current plan. The 6 decommissioned NEVs were effectively replaced by the
Gas.
the 5 decommissioned ones in, 6 decommissioned ones in, facilities were essentially replaced by the Mavericks, by the 5 Mavericks. So what our concern is getting the other 3 NEVs back up and running, for community standards to use.
So 3 now, because it was less meetings 2, right?
Well, so the bringing it back on was to get the 2 batteries replaced, yeah. There was a 3rd one that we're still waiting for the final diagnosis on, yeah.
And is that the same thing, $3,700 for lithium batteries?
I think it's needs battery and more.
It needs battery and additional, review because it won't start.
I have a question.
That's C3.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
On the, this spaceship. So, for community standards, the 2026 tracks is the one we just bought?
Yes.
So that's on it, but then we got 5 trucks, but then there's 6 decommissioned. So what's going on there?
They're technically,
Because what?
they're technically short one.
So
Yeah, that's
there
what
were,
I'm trying to figure out.
there were 9 NEVs to be replaced. I would say, don't worry about what entity they're assigned to. There were 9 NEVs that need to be replaced for us to be functional and operational. 6 of them came from maintenance, but so with the 5 vehicles, they're able to do more and be less dependent on having to trade off vehicles to go out to Island Village, Spring Lake. So they're more operational. And the NEVs couldn't tow the pressure washer. So they're a lot more interchangeable now and not trading vehicles.
So we don't need as many vehicles.
We don't
because
need
we're
as
more
many
efficient.
vehicles there. But it's really, so the 3 NEVs that need to be replaced, we're assigning to community standards because they don't have that towing need. They don't have to cart equipment around. But they do need to be able to get around for inspections.
So, does this give you guys the information you needed to put this
I'm
back?
understanding a little bit better. So I have been taking literal which vehicle has been assigned to which department. And it's fluid.
We move vehicles around based on operational needs. These are where they're assigned to currently, but Parks and Rec just borrowed a truck from facilities for one of their events.
I was gonna say it the other way too.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec doesn't need a vehicle and facilities does. There are times when Parks and Rec doesn't need them.
I've seen a community inspector in a Maverick.
Oh,
Yes.
So it happens.
But long term, you want to phase out and that's completed, right?
Correct.
That's the plan.
That's the goal.
So what is for let's first 2, maybe 3. When do you phase these out? And we budget for
These are,
trucks?
these would be up for replacement in, I want to say 4 years.
I think so.
Yeah,
Which ones?
the 3 that require repair.
what's the life expectancy on lithium batteries versus lead acids? I think they're much longer. What?
Charge cycles,
Yeah.
temperatures.
Yeah, but I think they still should run a lot longer on the lithium than just.
The lithium ion
You look
battery,
at the warranty done, right? It was a 5-year, it was prorated, but it was like a 5-year warranty on it.
was
So-
8 years or something like that.
Yeah, something.
So they should last us until we have to get rid of it.
But yeah, isn't there something with the battery that you were getting that tenders the battery, make sure that you don't over.
Yeah,
Because you got
that's
too many
charged.
people charging the battery like it drops down to nothing.
Yeah, lithium ion batteries go 3 to 5,000 cycles.
Right.
Temperature is a variable. Drawdown is a variable. How far off 50% is a variable. So if you charge them to 100% every day, you're going to wear it about fast.
Charge them to 80. Well, the new chargers charge to 80 and then to
20 to 80
Yeah.
is the recommended range.
So in your crystal ball, you feel we're gonna get 4 more years out of these with the new batteries? Because kind of what I thought we heard prior to being, we're doom and gloom with these NEVs in January, now these, they're junk, they're not working, like,
So the majority of them are, we're doing what we can to get these 3 operational. The 2 with the battery repairs are in the best shape. They're the 2 newest.
Right.
Then the other one, we need to figure out why it won't turn on, but other than that, it's operational.
if you take 4 years, but then again, we're, Island Village, you can't use them there.
Well, and here's, I just checked, and lithium ions at high temperatures outperform lead acids by about twice as long to 3 times. So we should get 4 years out of it.
So, I mean, and there's enough homes in the main village to occupy the time of at least 3 inspectors, so they could be utilized for. as
And the
long-
tracks could go to
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, your reserve allocation for 2025 is $7,470 for battery replacement and NEVs. And that's at
So
line
we're
budget.
right, we're very close to that.
With the 2, yeah, that
The
was.
2, but we're talking 3.
We're talking 3, so we would go over.
So you gotta get another 3,500.
What's the
We don't have-
26?
We don't have a final number.
I know, but what's the 26? That was 26, right?
7,700 next year. It's an annual fund.
So, okay. So we have some for next year we can move over.
We can move over, you know.
So can we put this on as an action item, everybody? Good, we're gonna put that on as an action item, thank you. And now to the Universal Consulting Body Charter Resolution. It's not a motion thing.
It's just a reminder that it needs to be updated as part of the committee resolutions, and I believe Gary had a
Date.
suggestion, month shift.
We were able to put the resolutions like in the teams folder, like we've done before, where board members can add to it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll pull them from the email that Jacob sent out, and I'll put them in the Teams folder with.
And then we can also adjust our own resolution there.
Okay, any other discussion about committees? And the work that needs to be done, it's just a reminder. And then I think the last thing we need is a motion to adjourn.
Well, no, I got a
You got something, you're not in the agenda.
new guy who wants to rethink. Just an FYI, we need to start thinking about design guidelines, kind of put that on the back burner. So we need to have a philosophical discussion.
Yep.
On what needs to be take place. Of
Yep.
course, I've got ideas on it.
When is that coming up? Is that coming up next?
It's never stopped.
Yeah, but where we can have a board discussion about it?
It's on pause right now.
It's on pause.
Do you wanna-
we see.
No, I don't want to, I
Do you want to
just,
We're
discuss?
gonna want the committees in place, but just that's moving forward.
when would you like to discuss this?
Let's workshop.
Next workshop, you want to do that next workshop? We're doing that next workshop. Okay, all right. Now do I have your motions? Second, we're adjourned. Thank you all so much. Very productive.
That's